Welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast, sponsored by Motivate Training and Management. This is a podcast where we talk to drivers and industry experts to help you maximize your performances on and off the track. Let's get started with today's show. Hi guys, and welcome to episode 49 of the Motorsport Coaching Podcast. I am your host, Belinda Risley, and today I'm joined by Clayton Kingman from the UK. Clayton has an awesome story to share with you today where he's gone from being a fan of motorsport, sending out a tweet, and becoming a successful racing car driver. He's also driven at the Festival of Speed, and he's an ambassador to the Mexican supercar manufacturer VUHL. He's forged a successful career in the automotive, motorsports, and esports industry, utilizing the skills he's learnt throughout his journey, including his involvement in the world fastest gamer. Please help me welcome Clayton to the show. So Clayton, welcome to the show.
Hi, nice to be on it. It's always a pleasure to reach new audiences and speak to new people.
Well, yes, it's very new to me. As I was just saying off air, this whole world of gaming is completely new to me. So I can't wait to hear about your awesome story about how you became the world's fastest gamer. But before we get started, I've got the fast 4 questions from our sponsor, Plus Fitness. What is your favourite racetrack?
I'm going to say my favourite racetrack is one I've never driven, which is very strange, but
yes.
Bathurst is my bucket list.
You can't say Bathurst.
Yeah.
All right, tell us why.
It just looks incredible. Just the whole mountain section is, for me, it's just the top of the bucket list. Very closely followed by Spa, but top of the bucket list, probably because I've never driven it.
Yeah. And so is that a big goal going forward to come?
Absolutely, yeah. One of the one of the goals absolutely is to come out and do the 12-hour race. Wow. All right. Pineapple on pizzas? Awful question. It shouldn't even be a question. Absolute no. Everyone else has said yes so far. No, one for the no. Must be a cultural thing.
Yes, it must be. Now, I'm going to say Ford or Holden, but I don't think you guys have that rivalry over there.
No, not really. I would say Ford though, just because I'm a big Scotty McLaughlin fan. So the Mustangs are doing their business over there. So yeah, Ford for me.
Ford for you. And fruit or veggies?
Fruit, I think. Yeah, definitely fruit.
All right, Clayton. Well, let's get started down to the business end of things. You do have an awesome story to tell, but how did you get started in motorsports full stop? And and then talk us through your journey to where you are today.
Yeah, so I've always been a fan of motorsport. My family and have never been that big into motorsport. I think I went to my first race when I was probably about 8, and it was only because my father's company that he worked for had sponsored a car, and I managed to go, and I was kind of captured then, probably as much in the smell as anything else, and then never thought I would compete in motorsport, but then one day I put a completely random tweet out and ended up meeting a guy who could build a car. I wanted to race. Neither of us had any money. So we spent the next 3 or 4 months just talking, just, becoming friendly. And then one day I said, let's prove a point that you don't have to be from a wealthy background to get into motorsport. And he said, no, it's not possible. And I said, yeah, let's prove a point. So I went out and raised the sponsorship to, having never even done a track day, to build a car with him and go racing. And then that's...
Oh, sorry. What did your tweet say? Like, how did the conversation start?
It was, rather embarrassingly, it was some Avengers pajama bottoms that I got for Christmas. And he tweeted back the matching slippers. And that was that. Just 6 degrees of separation, I guess. So we went from there. He lived two and a half hours away from me. So every other weekend I'd travel up and help build the car. And then I did my race license here at Silverstone. And then we finished the car at 4:00 in the morning of the first race. Slept in my car at Silverstone, straight to the driver's briefing. The car wouldn't start on the morning, so I left the guys to try and fix it. And we only had the budget for one set of tyres. So we had to decide whether we went with wet tyres or dry. It was very wet on the Saturday of qualifying, so we didn't have much choice. So yeah, they were waiting in the queue whilst everyone was going out qualifying, and we arrived about 5 minutes after qualifying had started. So it was certainly interesting, but we were third in class. I think we qualified, which was really good. And then that's kind of led me to do all sorts demonstrations in the James Hunt Lotus that was used in the film Rush. I met the family that owned that. They just moved across from Canada, and the father had just passed away. And I said, "What are you doing with the car now?" And they said, "But we don't really know. You know, my father, he wanted to take it up Goodwood." And I said, if I can make that happen for you, you know, do you want to do it? And they said, "Yeah, you know, can you do that?" And I said, "I don't know. I'll try for you." So
yes, of course, I'll just wing it. Yep.
Yeah. So a number of phone calls and emails, and I managed to get the car to Goodwood, and then I drove that up at Goodwood with their father's ashes in the car. So he still went up. And then I did a bit of mini challenge over here in the BMW Minis, and then some demonstrations at the Grand Prix Bull and various other events. So I've done some demonstrations with a name you'll be very familiar with, David Brabham, and Pierre Gasly. So a few others, and that led me to get involved with a company called VUHL. You probably won't have heard of them, but they're a lightweight Mexican supercar manufacturer. I became their global ambassador, and then they asked me to come on and put together their global sales and marketing strategy, which we did. And then that kind of led me in to do more motorsport stuff and more automotive stuff. Working with, I've consulted for a number of big motorsport brands on helping them with sponsorship and various others. So, interesting path. I wasn't working in the industry when I started racing. I was working in construction. But, it's kind of led me not only to racing, but into a whole new world.
Wow, what an exciting story. So you mentioned that you got sponsorship before you even had a tyre on the track. How did you do that, Clayton? Tell us your secrets.
So that was based around offering both loyalty and business services. So what it is I spoke to people and said, look, how can I help your business? I've got a little bit of spare time. What can I do to help your business that will drive value? And I sold it on the basis that if you come on board now, no matter where I go, whatever I raced, there would always be a space for them to be involved. Whether I end up at Le Mans or anything like that, and they've only got a small budget. I said I would always find something for you, and that's part of how I am. I'm very loyal and like to stick with my sponsors. And that was the basis of where we grew from, really. And once one or two got involved, a few others got involved as well. Then when we were short on budget with the tyre situation, it was actually raised a company called Machina Club. Nancy saw that we'd short on budget for tyres because they'd been destroyed in the hot weather the following day. And lots of people on Twitter clubbed together, businesses and brands, to raise the funds to buy tyres. So it's a real, we've been fortunate to some extent that people have loved it and bought into me and to what we're doing. But it's obviously not without the struggles that you kind of keep behind closed doors.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic that you were able to secure that sponsorship without, even being on a track or winning a race or anything. And in regards to your Avenger partner, had he had any mechanical background before, or how did you guys come about building the car? You said obviously he was 2 hours away, and that you just put out a tweet there, and you from construction. Was he a mechanic, an engineer, or just had a love? He was a fan as well?
No, so he had a motorsport degree, which is where the idea came from, because I didn't have the foggiest idea of how to build a race car. So, that relied solely on him. But between the two of us, with the varying skills that we had, we were able to kind of get the finances together to do that.
Yeah, and so coming from your background of construction, how did you get into sponsorship?
You just had to figure it out. It was something, if I wanted to race, then I had to do it. And I've never had any training or anything like that. You've just got to. I've always been fairly creative. I've got friends in various businesses that will generally put ideas past me or ask me for ideas. So I've always had that aspect. And I just tried to create something different. Obviously, there was a story there as well. And it's how you angle that story and utilize that for sponsors. Media love a story. So if you can angle that and get industry publications and things like that for sponsors, then absolutely, it's a good value builder. I always say one of my biggest or my favorite phrases that I use is, it's not what you do on the track, it's what you do off of the track. Because yes, you need to be competitive on the track, but you can only really drive the value back to sponsors by what you do away from the track, introductions, and really driving the value back to their business. And unfortunately, lots of people forget that. Certainly now, gone are the days of a sticker on the car. Thank you. That's a good deal. People need to see and want to see the value back.
And Clayton, obviously, you haven't had any formal education around sponsorship, and you haven't been around motorsports for that long to have that education awareness. Is that something that you have either just picked up, or is that something that was kind of instilled with you from your father, saying, network, build relationships, be loyal?
No, I think part of it comes from your childhood, if you like, the values that you're brought up with. Trust and loyalty have always been big. But no, my father's not in marketing or sponsorship or that arena. He's in sales, so that probably helps. But yeah, I think it's something that I just picked up. And I've always been a networker, building networks, always wanting to learn. If I'm in a room of successful business people, then I want to speak to all of them, just to learn how they've done what they've done. And I've always been very driven and focused from that side.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it's all about having a story to tell, and you are known as the Twitter to track man. So did you document that process from obviously the tweet with the Avenger shoes to getting onto the track? Like, tell us the story. Like, how did you brand your story? I document or track the main points. I did sit down one day and start writing it all down in more detail, but I'm not the best at that. I think one of the things that I do, and perhaps something I've picked up quite often, is I'm always constantly pushing doors with media, with the sponsors. This is my story. Can we do something? And I think there's probably a misconception, or there certainly was, around a lot of the people when I first started racing, that the media just come to you and, you get these opportunities, just, people come to you if you're winning races. And that's not the case. You've got to get out and work. You've got to let these people know. I mean, I had a friend who was on a radio program over here,
And I didn't ask them to go on the show because I didn't wanted to do everything myself. But I contacted the show and ended up going on, a fairly reasonable sized radio show to talk about my story and what I was doing. And the first my friend knew about it was the day before when they said, "Oh, you're coming on our show tomorrow." And that's the thing. You've always got to be pushing these doors and pushing the opportunities.
Yeah. So, have you got a good relationship with the media over there? Like, how have you established? I guess you have. How have you established those partnerships with the media?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say they're that established. I have certain ones that I can speak with. It's been very barren in terms of the last 18 months of racing, so you kind of don't have a great deal to go to the media with. I don't necessarily have any real relationships with the media to an extent. It's just that when there's something there, I push out and I tell the story and I say, "Look, this is what I'm doing now. Come on, be part of it." I'm very fortunate that, through some of the things that I've done through Goodwood, I met someone, Ian Poulter, who's a big golfer, and he's always been very supportive. Through the Race of Champions, when I was the ambassador for VUHL, I met David Croft and a few of the other drivers, and Crofty's very supportive. So I have managed to build these relationships through some of the events and opportunities that I've been at, and that really helps.
And you've gained a lot of ambassadorships through your, I guess, experience. Tell us, who are you an ambassador for, and how did you decide which company you wanted to align yourself with? Because I feel like that's an area where drivers sometimes get a little bit, confused or reluctant, and sometimes they're so eager to say yes because they want everybody to be on board or they want free things, but it's not always the case, is it?
No, I think you have to, and it's something that very early on I was taking whatever I could. And one of the things and one of the frustrations that I certainly have is that a lot of people take on sponsorships knowing full well that they probably can't really drive any value back to that sponsor, and they're not really aligned to what they're doing. And the problem is that sponsor is probably very aligned to someone out there that's racing and their partners. But by doing that, they do a year and then they've spent all of this money and they've got nothing back. And then that brand disappears out of motorsport, and it makes it so much more difficult. Yeah. For me, one of the things I decided was to focus on a particular kind of area of people. There's no use working with premium brands and then having some lower level brands in there that aren't premium, because there's no synergies with them. I mean, the idea is to try and close the loop. So a lot of the brands that I work with now, they're all premium luxury brands. But they all have synergy in the type of customer they're looking at, the type of people that they work with, and also the thought process of what they want to do. Mm-hmm. So if you take, for example, Juha Kankkunen, you may or may not be familiar with, he's a 4-time world rally champion. He has an ice driving school in Finland. I was approached to go and do some stuff with them through mainly through my commercial stuff, not driving stuff. And then I ended up becoming their first ever ambassador. Well, that fits very well because I operate within a sector where I work with a lot of luxury clients. I do things like the Grand Prix Ball is a very luxury event, £600, $1,000 for the cheapest ticket for a dinner. And the type of networking customer that I've built are very aligned to these kind of people. So, Eyerespect is another one, premium eyewear. They have some great ambassadors as well, musicians, other racing drivers. And then I have VUHL, who are my nutrition partner. They work with, British Olympics, some major rugby. When you start to bring all of these people in together, and Juha wanted to create some video content, I personally wanted to create more video content because it's something I'm not very good at. And the idea is that with all of these brands, with some of their other ambassadors in different sectors, we all have a similar client base that we're aiming for. So by combining that together and creating content by getting, some big name musicians, world champion heavyweight boxers, etc., all in one place, it's promoting everyone and it's creating this viral content that will be very, very beneficial to brands, but also the consumer. The business done between them and between their own customers will then start to expand into the rest of the network.
100%. It definitely sounds like you now have a love for marketing. Is this now what you do full time, or what's your day-to-day job look like?
Yeah, so now I'm the commercial director for the world's fastest gamer. Basically what we do with world's fastest gamer is we take 10 of the best gamers in the world. So 8 are pre-qualified through existing competitions where they've won, or they've Le Mans, 24-hour Le Mans, they're one of the winning drivers of that event. And then we have 2 qualifiers who have one through an online competition for R Factor 2, which the finals are held this weekend. So you had to set a time trial lap, and then there was a race between all of the 20 finalists, prizes on offer to win that, and then the winner also won a place in World's Fastest Gamer. And then there's a mobile competition on Gear Club. So it was that was a time trial. So the fastest wins a place in World's Fastest Gamer as well. So very interesting sector. Season 1, Rudy Van Buren won. He won a contract for McLaren Formula 1 team as a simulator driver. Season 2 is bigger. It's $1 million prize of a year of real racing. So whoever wins will get their race license, and then they'll race Aston Martins around the world. So it's a phenomenal prize. Shame I can't enter myself, but it's a really interesting sector. It moved me into esports a bit, which is something that I wasn't familiar with. But that's a huge market and a huge opportunity, and brands have got a massive interest in that.
Is there any Aussies?
I don't think there is, actually. There's not one. Maybe they could still qualify. So if not, the qualifications for season 3 will begin at the end of September. So let's get some Aussies in there.
Yeah, and running, this sounds fantastic. So how did you, get all these other external partners on board to go ahead with this concept? Was this like a concept that you came up with someone else, or obviously being the commercial director, you're high up there? Tell us how did it all come about? I'm so excited. I just want to hear all about it. Just tell me.
Yeah, so World's Fastest Gamer is a concept derived by a guy called Darren Cox. Darren was the founder of, probably will be very familiar with this, GT Academy, which was done with Nissan and PlayStation. So Darren set that up 8 years ago. And when he left Nissan, he decided he wanted to do more. So he set up World's Fastest Gamer. Darren is now also the CEO of Millennial Esports, which is a Canadian company that has a variety of businesses within that. So Stream Hatchet, which is like the Nielsen of esports. All In Sports, which is a simulator company. Eden Games, which make Gear Club and a number of other online games. So he's really brought in this collective of businesses that all sit and work side by side to be the leaders in esports. And Darren and the team that were here already have got a huge experience within that. They've run a number of major esports teams for big brands. So Darren's a pioneer in this space, in the fact that 8 years ago he was doing esports, gamer to racer journeys. Now people are only just catching on to esports and really catching up. So, as soon as the opportunity came to work with Darren, it was a no-brainer really to work with someone that's at the forefront of that space. He was head of motorsport for Nissan, so he's very experienced. And he's also someone that I can learn from, which is the key to always develop and learn.
So no more construction.
No more construction, no, and I haven't for a while, to be honest, which is good. Yeah, no more going on wet, cold building sites.
Oh yes, cold days, 6 days a week, much better. Working weekend. Yes. So Clayton, being the commercial director, how do you find gaining sponsorship is different online?
I think it's
when it comes to like key benefits and offerings to our prospects.
Yeah, I mean, I think World's Fastest Gamer bridges across both the online and the real racing sector. So there is a lot of similarities. You just have a whole host of more benefits. I mean, World's Fastest Gamer has huge global TV appeal. I mean, it's just short of 400 million viewing households, across Fox Sports, Sky Sports, CNBC, ESPN. So it's a huge TV that's involved. The opportunities that then come with streaming in the esports sector and various aspects like that are huge. You're crossing multiple platforms. If we take the R Factor 2 qualifier that we did, the finals just completed on Sunday, I think it was, or Saturday night. I've lost track of days with the bank holiday here. The amount of laps that were completed, the drivers attempting to qualify for World's Fastest Gamer did over 2 circumferences of the world. That's how much people want to be part of World's Fastest Gamer, and it's the most incredible prize. When I sit down with potential partners and say, look, we're offering this $1 million prize to race around the world. We're taking some guy, who could be, an example. So Brendan Lee, who won the Formula One, he used to be a kitchen porter before he won Formula One. Now he's a full-time esports racer. And we're taking that kind of level and giving them an even greater prize in the real world. We're launching someone's career by giving them a professional contract. No more, they could be a waiter or something like that in a restaurant. That could be no more for one of these very, very lucky people. So it's a huge media story, huge opportunity. Our head judge is Juan Pablo Montoya. So it's just such a great sell for brands because of the exposure, because of the opportunities, because of the assessments, because of the multi-platforms. And esports is such a huge industry. It's the fastest growing sport in the world. Yeah. It has the biggest commercial revenue opportunities in the world as well. You've only got to look at the PwC reports on it to see the phenomenal statistics. So brands want to get involved. They want to find a way in. The problem is a lot of them still don't understand it. So what World's Fastest Gamer does is it allows them a way in using, I say traditional methods in motorsport, but they have the esports as well.
So talk us through, how does someone get involved in gaming?
I mean, there's various ways from a simple PlayStation or Xbox to going and getting yourself a all-in sports simulator. Yeah. The levels are vast. And as we were saying off air earlier, you've only got to look at the amount of F1 drivers that have been gaming as a hobby for many years. Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, long before they're in F1. And then you even go to the other extreme. So Montoya, he games. Rubens Barrichello is another one that does get online gaming. So it's actually a surprising spectrum of just how wide. It's not 16, 17-year-old kids and younger. Is a broad spectrum of people competing in that arena, and it's such an affordable and easy way to do some motorsport, albeit on a game rather than in real life. But if you can enter World's Fastest Gamer, who knows?
And is there an age restriction? Like, how do you get to the world fastest gamer? Like, obviously, yes, you can have simulators, you can do Xbox, PlayStation, blah, blah. But is it just a competition that you go online, or how do you want to enter?
There's two routes in. If you're not already competing in the esports arena, and you don't win one of the major competitions, then there's essentially 2 wild cards. So we either go on R Factor 2, which is a PC simulator game, or you go on Gear Club, which is a mobile game. Anyone can enter that. The only restriction that we have is an age limit of 18, and that's obviously due to insurances and liabilities of competing in the final. But there's huge cash prizes on offer. We give away over $20,000 during the R Factor qualifier as well. So same with just generally, that we're doing things to pioneer this space and get people into it. Last week on social media, we gave away a $30,000 simulator. There's huge prizes to help get people into these arenas. And that's something that Darren and the rest of the team are passionate about, is to create these opportunities for people that otherwise wouldn't get them.
And so how are you creating those opportunities? Are you having the connections at Mercedes and Aston Martin? Are they coming to you saying we want to be involved? Or are you going to them saying, hey, we can bring you these drivers that got these skills, we're getting this much TV? Is it kind of like the reverse in gaining sponsorship?
No, it's a bit of both. People want to be involved with it because they see, or people that know the space want to be involved with it because we've got, the people that are involved in running it, people know from within this space, and, having run the GT Academy for many years, they, as I said earlier, they're the pioneers within this arena. So people want to be involved. Brands that don't understand it, we speak to, and there's some major brands that we're speaking to on various aspects. And it still takes a lot of explaining to these people and to get past some of the conceptions of it's a kid in his bedroom, playing on his computer. There is that level, but it's far beyond that as well. It's so expansive. But, people coming around over in the UK, we had the Fortnite World Cup, I think it was, and that had TV exposure right the way across every single major broadcaster. So it's becoming more and more mainstream in terms of TV, and brands are starting to pick that up and see the opportunities. If you take Fortnite as an example, to buy a franchise in Fortnite in 2017, it would have cost you $20 million. A year later, Forbes valued that at $80 million. So you can see the potential and the growth opportunities within the sector. And I read a report yesterday, I think they think esports is going to be worth $300 billion in the next 5 years. So I
read the same report. So do you do land motorsports as well, offline motorsports? Do you feel like there's a big difference, or is esports or gaming just purely your focus at the moment?
No, so I'm always, esports is, that's what pays my bills is doing the commercials for it. But I'm always pushing my opportunities to get back out in the car and do some racing as well. I have my goals, and I've been working for, even when I'm not racing, and that's what, that's what a lot of people don't see, is they think, you just get to do racing, that's fun, but they don't see all the hours of hard work that you're putting off of that. And just because I'm not racing doesn't mean that I'm not pushing those boundaries. I'm always working on other stuff. I have been for 2 or 3 years. I've been developing networks for that. And that's one of the reasons why Darren came to me to come on board with this, because people know the network and the opportunities and the doors that I can open. Because, if it's shut, then I'll find a way to open it. And you've got to have that drive, commitment and passion. It's not all glamorous. It's far from glamorous. It's a painful industry, can be very demoralizing. But you've got to keep pushing on. You've got to have that will and that want to keep pushing and never give up, as I always bang on about all the time. And that is the case. You've got to be the hardest worker, and you've got to, not accept no and keep pushing.
And how long has the world's fastest gamer been around? Has it just started? Are we in year 2 now? Or what kind of year?
So we're in season 2 this year. So the first season was 2017. nothing was done in 2018, and now it's relaunched because it was done with McLaren in 2017. They then launched one of their own separate programs, so it was relaunched again this year, or not relaunched, but season 2 came this year. And it will be a continuous loop now, every year. So, it's really ramping up, and you'll hear more and more about it. Make no mistake about it. It's here to stay, and it's going to be a big program. There's over 100 broadcasters who've already expressed an interest in season 2. So, it's over $15 million of global media exposure, without any in-brand, in-show stuff as well. So, the opportunities are huge.
Is there any females?
Have any? I don't think any have qualified. It's not a big sector in terms of female entry in esports yet. It is growing, and it's something that we've also identified. We'd like to try and help that process if we can.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Way we can help get more females into it, but what we won't do is, it's not going to be a token gesture just to tick a box and take a PR story. It's got to be a sustainable, opportunity for someone that will be competitive, and there are lots out there. But the pool of females within this sector is obviously a lot smaller than it is with males. It's very similar to the whole F1 situation. So, something needs to happen to be able to get more involved with this. But, it's an easier platform for people to get into. And I think, female participation in it is only going to grow. And I'd love to see a female either qualify through the mobile game or maybe next year in one of the major competitions or World Cup they enter. It'll be great.
Well, it's always been my dream, Clayton, to own a race car team. So maybe I should buy a gaming team, because that's
absolutely. If you want,
maybe I'll get in early and buy a females team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely an early adopters thing. You need to get in early with esports, because you can't sit and wait. In 3 years, the cost of it will be huge, because the opportunity is so broad.
And so what's your big goal, Clayton? So you've said you'd like to do Bathurst, that's on your checklist. You'd like to come back to racing. You've got an amazing opportunity with work at the moment. What's the next 5 years looking for yourself?
So the aim, I think, with probably every driver worldwide, but certainly European, is Le Mans. To do something at Le Mans. Next 5 years, probably not compete in the main event. I mean, that would be a pretty spectacular opportunity if it did. But certainly by 2023, to maybe do one of the support races, that would be a realistic goal. And that, for me, that's 10 years since that tweet. So it's a nice period. I think that's a pretty rapid progression, even with the last 18 months. So, yeah, that's certainly the aim. Le Mans and Bathurst are my 2 tick boxes to complete.
Well, of course, we'd love to host you over here. So if you do make it to Oz, make sure you give us a call, and we'd love to meet up face to face. But Clayton, how can people follow your journey, or the world's fastest gamer, or connect with you if you've got any questions about getting started in gaming? Yeah,
so absolutely. So my personal Twitter is Clayton Kingman, Instagram Clayton.Kingman, Facebook is /Clayton Kingman Racing. The world's fastest gamer is at the WF Gamer. You can also visit the website, which is wfgamer.com, and that's got all of the information, all of the various social media channels. Lots of activities going on, so I strongly suggest following those, because there's some great prizes on offer at the moment. Sadly, I'm not allowed to win any of them, which is slightly demoralising. But
we need an Aussie to get in there, so all your Aussies, go and have a look, and we'll obviously have the links to all of Clayton's details and for the WF Gamer sites for you guys to go and connect and follow, and maybe even enroll to participate.
Yeah, absolutely. That, we strongly advise for people. End of September, we'll be opening qualifying for season 3. And it will be probably an even bigger prize for season 3 if that's even possible. But
it's pretty amazing what it is now.
Yeah. When you look at the circuits that they get to do, they're going to get to do Daytona as well, Spa, Nürburgring. It's a phenomenal prize.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time tonight, Clayton. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Great to speak with you.
Yeah, I'd love to have you on it again, maybe this time next year, just to see how esports gaming's transpired, who's winning in season 3. Hopefully there's an Aussie in there that we can even get on to interview as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's stay in touch and see where we are in a year's time.
Fantastic. Thanks again.
No worries. Thank you.
Well, thanks everyone for listening to this week's show. I really hope you enjoyed that one as much as I did. Now, remember, all the show notes with the links and the specials mentioned in today's show are available over at motivatetraining.com.au. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you could head to iTunes or Stitcher, type in Motorsport Coaching, subscribe, and leave us a review. Each week, I'll read them out and you'll go into a monthly draw to win a fantastic prize. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at motivatetraining.com.au or head over to our Facebook page at Motivate Until next time, take care.